Most women have no idea just how much men crave to be dominated in subtle, unexpected ways, not with whips or chains, but with confidence, touch, voice, and control. He won't say it out loud, he might not even realize it himself, but deep down, there's a part of him that aches to be overwhelmed by a woman who knows exactly what she wants and isn't afraid to take it. So, if you've ever wondered what really turns a man on beyond the basics, this is where the truth gets exciting. When you pin a man down and take control, something deep inside him gets activated. It's not just the physical act, it's the energy, the intention behind it. It's about flipping a switch, one that most men don't get to flip themselves very often. Think about it. Men are usually the ones expected to initiate, to lead, to make the first move. They're used to carrying the weight of dominance in the bedroom. And while that can be exciting for them, it also becomes predictable, routine. And routine is the enemy of passion. So when a woman takes that power and flips it, when she decides she's not just participating, but leading, he doesn't just notice it, he feels it all the way through. This kind of moment starts long before the bedroom. It's in the way you touch him when no one's looking, the way you whisper something suggestive in his ear when you're out in public. It's in the way your eyes lock onto his, like you're already undressing him in your mind. That energy builds, and by the time you're alone together, he's already craving you. Not because you waited for him to make the first move, but because you made it clear, without saying a word, that you would. Then, when you actually take him by the wrists, guide him back against the bed and climb on top, it confirms everything he's been hoping was about to happen. That confidence, that boldness, it's magnetic. And it's not just about being on top, it's how you move, the rhythm, the grip, the way you look him straight in the eye as if to say, "You're mine right now." That level of ownership doesn't feel threatening, it feels thrilling. It says, "I'm here for this. I'm here for you, and I'm not afraid to show it." For a man, that's intoxicating. It removes all doubt. It silences the question, is she really into this? Because in that moment, your actions are louder than anything you could say. They scream desire, hunger, bold femininity. And that's a rare and powerful combination. It doesn't have to be rough in a violent sense. It's not about overpowering him or being aggressive in a way that doesn't feel natural to you. It's about owning the moment, leading the rhythm, controlling the pace, grabbing his chin and tilting his face toward yours before you kiss him, running your nails down his chest while you ride him, pressing his arms down beside his head and holding him there, not to restrain him, but to remind him that he's being claimed. You don't need to say a word because every movement already says, "You turn me on so much, I had to take control." This taps into something primal for men. It lets them feel wanted. Not just appreciated, not just liked, but wanted in a way that feels raw and undeniable. Men rarely get to feel that intensity from the receiving end. They're used to being the ones pushing the energy forward. But when you reverse that, when you become the fire instead of just responding to it, he feels seen in a way that most partners don't offer. And that feeling, it sticks with him long after the moment's over, long after the heat has faded. He'll remember the way it felt to be wanted that fiercely. He'll remember your hands holding him down, your voice in his ear, your body taking exactly what it wanted, and giving him the kind of memory he'll replay in his mind again and again. Taking control doesn't mean becoming someone you're not. It just means turning up the volume on the part of you that already knows how desirable you are, the part that isn't afraid to show it. When a woman grabs the back of a man's neck, pulls his hair, or places a firm hand on his throat, it sends a powerful signal, not just physically, but emotionally. It tells him she's fully in the moment, uninhibited, and willing to match or even surpass his intensity. For many men, this isn't just thrilling, it's deeply arousing. Because while they're often expected to play the dominant role, There's an intense pleasure that comes from surrendering that role, even if only for a moment. There's a vulnerability in being on the receiving end of raw physical desire, and that vulnerability, when wrapped in trust, creates one of the most powerful sexual dynamics possible. Light choking or hair pulling isn't about violence. It's not about harm. It's about trust, control, and the thrill of being overtaken by someone else's desire. When done with care and mutual understanding, it opens the door to something primal, a rush of sensation that hits both the body and the mind. It activates that deep part of a man's psyche that wants to feel overpowered by pleasure, by emotion, by you. The neck in particular is a sensitive area, both physically and emotionally. Placing a hand there lightly, applying pressure while making eye contact, makes him feel like you're not just engaging with his body, but with his mind and soul too. It's deeply erotic, not just because of the physical stimulation, but because of the dynamic it creates. One where you've seized the moment and taken ownership of it. Hair pulling, on the other hand, is a bold move with a very direct message. When you grab a handful of his hair during an intense kiss, or while on top of him, it tells him you're not being passive, you're taking what you want. It says you're not afraid to lead, not afraid to express your desire in a way that's physical and undeniable. It can jolt him into a state of heightened arousal, not because it hurts, but because it feels so raw and unfiltered. And the best part? It doesn't take much force at all. It's more about the confidence behind the act than the strength of it. A firm, controlled grip sends a stronger message than anything you could whisper. These rougher gestures tap into a man's desire to be desired, not in a polite, gentle way, but in a way that's intense and unmistakable. They create a space where he can let go, stop thinking, and simply feel. That's what most men won't say out loud, but secretly crave. To be wanted so fiercely that the experience becomes unforgettable. The contrast between tenderness and roughness also heightens the emotional experience. When you mix softness with sudden boldness, it creates a tension that amplifies every sensation. A soft kiss followed by a sudden grip on the back of his neck, or a slow touch turning into a firm tug of his hair. It shocks the system in the best way. It keeps him guessing, keeps him present, and pulls him deeper into the moment. Of course, trust is the foundation here. Roughness only feels good when it's rooted in mutual respect and a shared understanding. When that's in place, and when your partner knows you're in tune with his reactions, the experience becomes electrifying. It's not about domination in the traditional sense. It's about claiming your place in the moment. It's about showing him that you're not just along for the ride, you're steering it. The moment your fingers tighten around his hair or your hand slides around his throat with intent, you stop being a spectator. You become the spark that lights him up from the inside out. Dirty talk is one of the most powerful tools in the bedroom, not because of the words themselves, but because of the confidence and clarity they carry. When a woman uses her voice to express what she wants, what she's feeling, or what she's going to do, it creates an undeniable charge in the atmosphere. For a man, hearing that kind of direct, raw desire isn't just sexy, it's deeply validating. It lets him know he's not just desired, but that his partner is fully present and craving him in the same way. Most men don't just want physical connection. They want to feel like they're unlocking a version of you that no one else gets to see. And when you talk dirty with authority, that's exactly what happens. The power of dirty talk lies in the fact that it takes a private, intimate moment and elevates it into something psychological. It wraps him in your voice, your thoughts, your fantasies. It blurs the line between mind and body. A moan is good, but a sentence, especially one that gives direction, praise, or an unfiltered thought, is unforgettable. When you say, "I want you deeper," or "you feel so good inside me," or even something as bold as, "your mind tonight," it hits him on multiple levels. It's physical, it's emotional, and it's psychological all at once. He doesn't just feel you, he hears your pleasure, your control, your craving. It's as if you're narrating your own desire and letting him experience every bit of it. The tone matters just as much as the words. It doesn't need to be loud or theatrical. In fact, the quieter, breathier, more intentional your voice, the more powerful the effect. A whisper against his ear, a growl in your tone, or even a low laugh as you tease him. Those sounds can drive a man to the edge. It's the intimacy of hearing your voice saying things meant only for him. It's the sense that you're not just reacting, you're choosing your words because you're as into it as he is, maybe even more. Dirty talk also gives you control. You get to set the pace, the mood, and the energy of the encounter. When you tell him what you want, what you're going to do, or how close you are, it allows you to guide the experience without having to shift position or break the rhythm. And most men, they want to be guided. They want to please you. They want to know they're doing it right. Your words become a map for his movements, and every compliment or direction you give makes him more invested in satisfying you. When you say, "Don't stop," or "just like that," you're not just encouraging him, you're making him feel like a king. But the most electric part of dirty talk is what it reveals about you. It shows that you're uninhibited, that you trust him enough to be vulnerable, and that you're not afraid of being seen in your rawest, most turned on state. That level of honesty is rare. It builds a deeper connection, and it creates a safe space for both of you to explore your desires without shame. It also invites him to open up more, to match your intensity, to share his own fantasies, to let go of the need to perform and just feel. It doesn't matter if you've never done it before. You don't have to sound like a movie star or have a script ready. All it takes is being present in the moment and letting your pleasure speak. Start simple. Start honest. Say what you feel, what you want, or what he's doing to you. Speak from your body. Let your voice carry your desire, and he'll hang on every single word. Teasing a man until he's on the edge of begging is one of the most seductive and effective ways to build tension, desire, and unforgettable passion. This isn't about withholding affection or playing emotional games. It's about mastering the art of anticipation. When you take your time, when you don't give in to the moment all at once, you create a mental and physical build-up that drives him wild. Men are highly responsive to visual and physical stimulation, but they're also deeply affected by suspense. When you hold off just long enough, when you make him wait for exactly what he wants, it makes everything feel 10 times more intense when he finally gets it. The tease can start subtly. Maybe it's the way you look at him from across the room, like you've already made a decision and he doesn't even know what's coming. Maybe it's the way you brush past him with just a little too much contact, or let your hand linger a little longer than necessary. These small moments build curiosity, and that curiosity grows into tension. By the time you're alone, he's already charged with expectation. Then, when things begin to heat up, you keep that pace. You kiss him deeply, but pull away when he leans in for more. You touch him lightly, everywhere but where he wants it most. You let your lips hover over his skin. That kind of control doesn't just arouse him, it captivates him. Because now you're no longer just a participant, you're the conductor. You're guiding the experience, setting the rhythm, and letting him know that he's not getting everything until you decide. That dynamic taps into something powerful inside a man. It makes him feel pursued and challenged at the same time. He's used to being the one in control, so when you take over with that kind of soft dominance, it flips the script. It tells him that your pleasure matters just as much, maybe more, and that he has to earn every inch of your attention. What's important is the balance. You're not shutting him down, you're building him up. You're touching, kissing, moving in ways that keep him locked in, fully focused, completely immersed in every second. You might trail your fingers down his body, stopping right before the spot he needs you most. Or you might ride him slowly, making eye contact the whole time, changing the pace just as he starts to lose control. These little changes, this intentional slowing down, make every sensation more powerful. It's the contrast between the intensity he wants and the tension you're building that makes the eventual release feel explosive. Men don't often get to be in a position where they're the ones chasing inside the bedroom. But when you tease him until he's gripping the sheets, breathing heavy, eyes begging for more, you create an experience that's far more than physical. It's psychological. He's not just turned on, he's obsessed. He's desperate in the best way. He's not just reacting to your body. He's tuned in to your every move, your every breath, your every look. And that attention, that hunger, lasts long after the moment is over. Teasing isn't about denial for the sake of control. It's about making pleasure stretch, about making every second count. It's showing him that you're in command, not just of his body, but of his mind. And the longer you make him wait, the more explosive his response will be when you finally give him exactly what he's been craving. When you talk about scratching, biting, or leaving marks, you're stepping into a space that's raw, physical, and emotionally charged in a way many people don't fully understand until they've experienced it. These aren't just primal acts, they're expressions of intensity, passion, and full-bodied connection. For many men, there's something deeply thrilling about walking away from an experience with a few visible reminders of how wanted they were. A scratch down the back, a bite on the shoulder, even fingernail imprints on the chest. They all carry an unspoken message. You were mine in that moment, and I couldn't hold back. Men are often taught to be the ones who leave marks, to be the ones who take control, to be the more physical, assertive partner in bed. So when a woman flips that script and gets physical in a way that's dominant, even if only briefly, it breaks expectation in the best way. It tells him you're not just enjoying the experience, you're consumed by it. You're so turned on, so overwhelmed with desire that your body reacts instinctively. That kind of uninhibited response, it drives him wild because it feels real, it feels raw. And it confirms, without words, that what's happening between you isn't just routine, it's something worth remembering. Scratching his back while you're on top, especially during the peak of pleasure, tells him he's taking you to a place so intense your body can't stay still. It's a release of energy, a raw physical expression of how good he's making you feel. And even days later, when he looks in the mirror and sees those marks, he doesn't just see a moment. He remembers the way you moved, the way you sounded, the way you held on to him like you never wanted to let go. Biting has a similar effect. It's not about pain, it's about intensity. The feeling of your teeth against his skin is electric, not because it hurts, but because it's unexpected, animalistic, and deeply intimate. It breaks the mold of gentle, careful lovemaking and moves into something deeper, something that says, I can't get enough of you. There's also a visual element to this that's hard to ignore. When you're close enough to bite or scratch, you're fully in his space. You're close, wrapped around him, lost in the moment. And that closeness, that physical overwhelm creates a mental imprint. He's not just remembering the touch, he's remembering the experience of being claimed. For many men, that's a rare feeling. It's not about submission. And it's not about aggression. It's about being desired with no filter, no hesitation. And that kind of desire is something he'll think about long after it's over. The beauty of leaving marks is that they don't just belong to the night you shared. They linger. They follow him into his day. They serve as reminders of what you did, how you did it, and how you made him feel. They live on his skin and in his mind. And the next time he sees you, even if you're just walking across the room fully dressed, those memories flash back, and that same desire reignites all over again. What makes it even more powerful is when it's not constant, not expected, when it happens spontaneously, when your nails dig in at just the right moment, or your teeth sink in during a kiss that gets a little too heated. It adds surprise to the mix, and surprise combined with passion is a recipe for obsession. He won't just crave the act, he'll crave you. The version of you that gets so turned on, you stop thinking and just feel. That's what sticks with him. That's what makes you unforgettable. Blindfolding a man and taking away his sight in bed is about so much more than just playfulness. It's a sensory shift that heightens every other feeling in his body. When a man can't see what's coming next, when he has no visual cues to prepare himself, his entire system becomes alert. Every brush of your fingers, every kiss, every whisper hits deeper, because in that moment, he has no choice but to surrender, to give up control and trust you completely. And that vulnerability, wrapped in anticipation and mystery, can unlock a level of intimacy and arousal that's hard to reach any other way. Men are so often expected to be in control, to lead the pace, to make the moves. But when you blindfold him, you're saying, you don't have to do any of that right now. Just feel. You're taking the reins, guiding the moment, showing him that it's safe to let go. That shift creates not just excitement, but a powerful emotional connection, because he knows he's in your hands. And that trust, paired with intense physical sensation, creates a rush that's both erotic and deeply intimate. The beauty of blindfolding is in the unpredictability. He doesn't know where your hands will go next. He can't anticipate if you're about to kiss him, scratch him, whisper something into his ear, or simply let the silence stretch a little longer. Every second becomes charged with possibility. His body becomes ultra-sensitive to touch, to sound, to temperature. A soft breath on his neck might make him shiver. The graze of your fingernails down his chest could feel electric. And your voice, especially if it's low, slow, and confident, suddenly becomes the center of his world. Without his sight, he has to lean into every other sense. And that makes him experience you on a completely different level. You also get to be playful here. Blindfolding opens the door for slow teasing, surprises, and controlled pacing. You can take your time exploring his body, pausing in places just long enough to make him wonder what's next. You can shift from feather-like touches to firm grabs, mixing softness with dominance in a way that keeps him on edge. That tension builds quickly, and because he doesn't know what's coming, his arousal doesn't plateau. It spikes over and over again. He gets lost in the unknown, in the way you're leading him somewhere he can't see but can fully feel. What really sets blindfolding apart is the way it makes him feel emotionally. When he can't see you, he becomes more attuned to the connection between you. He listens more closely. He pays attention in a way that goes beyond physical touch. He becomes hyper-present, totally in the moment, because there's no script to follow, no visual distractions to anchor him. Just you, your energy, your hands, your voice. And that kind of presence, pure, vulnerable, raw, is incredibly powerful. It deepens the bond between you because he's experiencing you not just as a lover, but as someone who's creating a completely immersive, unforgettable experience. The moment you remove the blindfold, something subtle but important happens. That first look, the eye contact after all that teasing, all that surrender, it hits different. There's a softness in him, a charged stillness, because you've taken him somewhere he couldn't go on his own. And now that he sees you again, there's a new layer of intimacy there. You didn't just arouse him, you reached him. You created a memory his body and mind will come back to again and again. Because in that darkness, he discovered a whole new way to feel you. And that's the kind of experience that doesn't fade. When it comes to what men secretly crave in bed, it's not just about roughness for the sake of being wild. It's about intensity, vulnerability, and emotional depth woven into physical connection. These rougher moves, grabbing, dirty talk, teasing, scratching, blindfolding, aren't just fantasies. They're invitations to break through routine and unlock something raw, something unforgettable. Men want to feel desired just as fiercely as they're expected to desire. They want to lose control, to be overwhelmed, to be led into a moment where their body and mind are both lit up. The truth is, it's not about being perfect or performing. It's about being present, confident, and unafraid to own your desire. When you step into that space with boldness and trust, you give him more than just physical pleasure. You give him an experience he'll carry with him, one that speaks not only to his body, but to the part of him that's starving to feel deeply wanted, completely consumed and fully seen.